My father turned his back on me and skipped my wedding, my sister made sure, throwing a party to humiliate me on the same day. But when he discovered who walked me down the aisle instead, he exploded. You know those moments in life when everything just clicks? When you finally realize the truth, and it hits you like a tidal wave. My wedding day was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, but it nearly collapsed because my own father chose my sister over me. What he didn't expect was who would step in to take his place, and his reaction when he found out still sends shivers down my spine. Growing up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, our family seemed perfect from the outside. A quaint two-story house, a white picket fence, a garden bursting with Mom's tulips. My dad, Richard, was my hero. He was tall, distinguished, with that salt and pepper hair that appeared a little too early. He'd sit with me at breakfast, telling me I had the brightest mind and that I'd change the world. Those words were everything. My mom, Eleanor, was the gentle balance, the family peacekeeper, always patient, always there to help with homework or teach me to bake her legendary chocolate chip cookies. Those early years? They're etched into my heart. But everything changed when I was 12. Mom started getting tired, and 3 months later, we got the devastating news: stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months later, she was gone. Her death left a gaping hole in our family, a wound we never truly addressed. My sister, Vanessa, was 3 years older, and our relationship was complicated. Even before Mom died, she resented the bond one had with Dad. She was athletic, I was bookish. Mom tried to celebrate us equally, but Vanessa saw every compliment I received as a personal attack. After Mom passed, the tension became unbearable. Dad buried himself in work, staying out late, probably to avoid the emptiness of our home. Vanessa, barely 15, quickly stepped into that vacuum, declaring herself the new lady of the house. She'd snap at me if I asked when Dad was coming home, saying he had important clients and we needed to be strong for him. I watched her transform, becoming someone I barely recognized, controlling everything. Dad, lost in his grief, seemed grateful, and their relationship grew stronger, while mine with him began to unravel. The money that came with Dad's promotion to senior partner only fueled Vanessa's manipulative fire. She'd weaponize guilt trips, whispering things like, "Adrian just spent $60 on art supplies," conveniently omitting it was for a forgotten school project. Or, "Adrian said she doesn't need you to come to her band concert. She knows how busy you are," when I'd been counting the days hoping he'd show. By high school, Vanessa had painted a picture of me to Dad, rebellious, ungrateful, only interested in friends. The truth? I'd retreated into my studies and art, trying to cope with losing both my mother and, increasingly, my father. The ultimate betrayal hit during my junior year. I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship, and I'd reminded Dad for weeks. The night before, I overheard Vanessa on the phone with him. "Adrian told me she doesn't want to make a big deal. Having you there might make her nervous." The next day, I sat alone at that ceremony, watching other proud parents, accepting my award with a hollow feeling. Dad sent a text, "Congrats," blaming an important client dinner. I later found out Vanessa had called his office, claiming I had asked to reschedule. When I confronted her, she just shrugged. "You always want all the attention." It's pathetic. At 18, I couldn't wait to escape. I fled to the University of Pittsburgh, limiting home visits to holidays, enduring Vanessa's jabs and Dad's distant politeness. Then, during my sophomore year, I met Benjamin. He was everything my family wasn't: kind, logical, and he came from a warm, boisterous family who welcomed me with open arms. His mother, Laura, a kindergarten teacher, made me feel special. His father, Henry, had a dry wit. His brother, Noah, was instantly like a sibling. They became my tribe. Benjamin was my rock. He understood my family drama without judgment, holding me when holidays left me in tears, celebrating my achievements when my own father failed to acknowledge them. After graduation, we built a life together in Philadelphia, far from the shadows. I kept up obligatory monthly calls with my father, brief and superficial. Vanessa, now in real estate, still living at home, still the dutiful daughter taking care of Dad. By 27, I was a marketing executive, Benjamin was advancing in engineering, and our life was everything I'd dreamed of. The old wounds were still there, but I had built a new life, full of love. Benjamin proposed on our 5th anniversary. It was perfect, a day reliving our first dates, a vintage sapphire ring that reminded him of my artistic spirit. Pure joy. The next morning, I called Dad. Dad, Benjamin proposed, and I said yes. The pause felt like an eternity. Well, congratulations, he finally said, his tone flat, like he was discussing a minor work achievement. He seems like a good guy. Have you set a date? No excitement, no questions, just business. I fought back tears. Benjamin held me, assuring me he'll come around, though I knew he didn't believe it. Vanessa's text was even worse. OMG, congrats, little sis. So happy for you. That ring is so pretty. The excessive exclamation points couldn't hide the seething jealousy underneath. She was 32, still searching for commitment. Despite their lukewarm reactions, we pushed forward. June 15th, 9 months to plan. Benjamin's family was on board. Crucially, my father confirmed his availability. I've put it in my calendar, he said, sounding almost enthusiastic. Then I took a deep breath. Dad, I was hoping you'd walk me down the aisle. Another pause, but this time, genuine emotion. I would be honored, Adrian. A flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this could heal us. The next few months were a blur of wedding planning bliss. Laura, Benjamin's mom, was my rock, joining me for venue tours and dress fittings. You are going to be the most beautiful bride, she'd say, tears in her eyes as I tried on my lace gown. In those moments, I felt my own mother's absence so keenly, but Laura's warmth filled some of that void. I also grew closer to Benjamin's uncle, Jack, a retired English professor. He was brilliant, kind, and truly listened when I talked about my work or art. You have a remarkable eye for what moves people, he'd say. That is a rare gift. He was genuinely excited, a stark contrast to my father's polite but distant confirmations. Vanessa, of course, declined to be a bridesmaid, citing work commitments. 5 months before the wedding, I started seeing troubling signs. Vanessa's social media posts were vague. Big event planning, venue scouting, June target date. When I called, she was dismissive. Just something for work. Nothing for you to worry about. But the anxiety gnawed at me. Then, 3 months out, the bombshell dropped. Vanessa called, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Adrian, I wanted to let you know personally. I'm hosting a career achievement party on June 15th. I finally hit my sales target to become a broker, and the firm is throwing me a huge celebration. My blood ran cold. Vanessa, that's my wedding day. You got the save the date 8 months ago. She feigned surprise. Did I? Oh, it must have slipped my mind. Anyway, it's just a coincidence. My events earlier, at the country club, should be winding down around the time your ceremony starts. Perfect. Perfect? I yelled, my voice rising. You're scheduling a party on my wedding day, knowing Dad will have to choose? Dad can attend both, she chirped. He's so proud of my achievement. But I'm sure he'll make it to your wedding too. It's not that far a drive. The country club was nearly 2 hours from our venue. It was physically impossible for anyone, especially the father of the bride, to make both. I immediately called my father. Dad, did you know Vanessa scheduled her party on my wedding day? Yes, she mentioned it, he said casually. Unfortunate timing, but work events can be hard to reschedule. It's a big achievement for her. But Dad, how will you attend both? You're supposed to walk me down the aisle. I'll make it work, Adrian. I'll go to the first part of Vanessa's event and then drive over. No need to make this a bigger issue. But as weeks passed, I sensed him wavering. He started mentioning traffic, asking if we could push the ceremony back, wondering if I really needed him for pre-wedding photos. Despite the growing tension, wedding plans continued. Benjamin and his family remained supportive, but I could see their concern growing. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, the call came. My worst fears confirmed. Adrian, he began, his voice uncomfortable, I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking about the logistics. I don't think I can make it to the ceremony on time. Vanessa's event is really important to her career, and as her father, I need to be there for the whole thing. The timing just doesn't work out. I gripped the phone, fighting for control. You're choosing not to walk me down the aisle at my wedding? It's not about choosing, he said defensively. It's about practical timing. Maybe you could ask Benjamin's father, or your friend's dad. I'm sure someone else can do it. Someone else, as if walking your daughter down the aisle was an interchangeable task, something to be delegated. I see, I whispered, my voice barely audible. I'll still come to the reception, he added, as if offering a generous compromise. Should be able to make it by 7 or so. I dropped the phone and collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Benjamin found me there, his own anger evident in his clenched jaw. He's not coming, I choked out. He's choosing Vanessa's party over walking me down the aisle. Benjamin held me tight. He doesn't deserve you. That night, he gently suggested postponing. Give your dad no excuse not to be there. The thought had crossed my mind, but something deep inside rebelled. No, I said firmly. I'm not rearranging our wedding because of Vanessa's manipulations. That's exactly what she wants. The next day, Laura called, and I poured out the whole story. Oh, sweetheart, she said, her voice filled with motherly concern. I cannot believe your father would do this. He is making a choice he will regret for the rest of his life, but that is his burden to bear, not yours. Her words gave me strength, but the question remained, who would walk me down the aisle? The thought of walking alone felt like a public acknowledgement of my father's rejection. Later that week, Jack called. Benjamin told me what happened, he said gently. Family disappointments cut the deepest. Something in his tone suggested he knew that pain personally. It sounds like you understand. More than you might guess, he replied. My own father disowned me for choosing literature over the family business. Some wounds never fully heal, but we learn to build beautiful lives despite them. His wisdom brought fresh tears. Family isn't just about blood, Adrian. It's about who shows up for you when it matters. The emotional rock bottom came a week before the wedding. Amidst excited emails from friends, I found myself sobbing on the bathroom floor at midnight. The wedding was perfect, except for the gaping hole left by my father's absence. The next morning, Benjamin suggested lunch with Laura. She knew immediately something was wrong. I just feel abandoned, I confessed, stirring my tea. It's okay to feel that way, Laura said. What your father is doing is wrong, and you have every right to be hurt. As we ate, Laura hesitated. There's something I think you should know about Jack. My curiosity piqued. He's Henry's brother, she explained. When I met Henry, Jack was already estranged from their parents. Their father was a very rigid man, never forgave Jack for choosing academia. And I was married once before Henry. A brief, unhappy union. When I decided to marry Henry, my own father refused to attend. He said it would embarrass him. It was Jack who offered to walk me down the aisle. He told me, Laura, you deserve to be given away by someone who celebrates your happiness, not someone who judges it. Her story resonated so deeply. I had no idea Jack did that for you. He never had children, Laura continued, but he's been the most wonderful uncle. He attends every school play, every graduation. He was too tactful to say it directly, but the idea began to form. Do you think, I began hesitantly, would it be inappropriate to ask Jack if he would walk me down the aisle? Laura's eyes welled up. Oh, sweetheart, I think it would mean the world to him. But this has to be your decision. I spent the next day turning the idea over. Jack had always shown genuine interest, pure kindness. There was a poetic justice in being walked down the aisle by someone who truly understood parental rejection. That evening, I called Jack. We met at a bookstore cafe. He already had my usual vanilla latte waiting. Jack, I finally said, my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle. Jack nodded, solemn. Laura told me how you walked her down the aisle. I was wondering, would you consider doing the same for me? Jack's expression shifted, his eyes glistening. He seemed unable to speak. Adrian, he finally managed, his voice thick. I cannot tell you what this means to me. Are you certain? This should be a special moment with someone you are close to. I am absolutely certain, I replied, feeling more confident by the second. You have shown me more genuine interest and support in the years I've known you than my father has in a decade. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. He reached across the table, taking my hand. Then I accept with all my heart. It would be one of the greatest honors of my life. The crushing weight I'd carried for weeks suddenly lifted. Jack was right. Family was about who showed up. The final days were a whirlwind. But I felt a new peace. I made one last call to my father 3 days before the wedding. "Dad, I just wanted to confirm you're still planning to come to the reception." "Yes, after Vanessa's event," he replied, distracted. "Probably around 7:30 or 8. I swallowed hard. "I also wanted you to know that I've asked Benjamin's uncle, Jack, to walk me down the aisle." A pause. "Who?" "Jack Harris. He's been very supportive." "I see. Well, I suppose someone has to do it if I can't be there on time." His dismissive tone only solidified my conviction. The night before the wedding, at our rehearsal dinner, Jack gave a toast that brought tears to many eyes. "True love," he said, raising his glass, "is not just about finding the right person, but also about creating a family of choice that supports and celebrates you." Later, as guests left, I checked social media one last time. Vanessa's posts about her career celebration showed meager decorations, maybe a dozen people. It wasn't a grand corporate event. It was a regular house party she'd specifically scheduled to conflict with my wedding. The knowledge should have stung, but instead, I felt a strange clarity. Her jealousy ran so deep she'd sabotage one of the most important days of my life out of spite. I turned off my phone. Tomorrow would be about love, not family drama. Wedding morning. Sunshine streamed into the hotel suite. My bridesmaids, my college and work friends, arrived with coffee and infectious excitement. As my friend Sophia had her hair styled, my phone chimed. A text from Dad, "Good luck today. Vanessa's event starts at 11 o'clock. If it wraps up early, I might be able to make it to the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake." Not a word of regret about the ceremony. Not even a congratulations or "I love you." Just a reminder of his priority. I handed the phone to my bridesmaid Zoe, unable to respond. "He's unbelievable," she muttered, hugging me. "Don't let him ruin your day." Around noon, Jack arrived, immaculately dressed in his tuxedo, holding a small gift box. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said, his eyes crinkling with warmth. "You look absolutely radiant. Benjamin is a very fortunate young man." He handed me the box. "This belonged to my mother. I've been saving it for a special occasion." Inside was a delicate, vintage lace handkerchief, embroidered with tiny blue flowers. "Something old, something blue," he explained. "My mother carried it on her wedding day in 1930. I thought you might like to have it." Tears welled. "It's beautiful, Jack." "I'd be honored." Then, a small velvet pouch from Laura, a silver bracelet with a charm, a paintbrush crossed with a pen. "She remembered you loved both writing and painting as a child," Jack said. "A reminder of your creative spirit." These people, who had no obligation to me by blood, had shown more care for my happiness than my own family ever had. With my hair swept up, my mother's pearl earrings, Laura's bracelet, and Jack's handkerchief tucked into my bouquet, I was ready. At 3:30, Benjamin's mother, Laura, came in. "Oh, Adrian, you are absolutely stunning," she breathed. "Jack's waiting in the lobby." 10 minutes before 4, I walked to the garden terrace. Through the glass doors, I could see Benjamin waiting, the string quartet playing softly. Jack offered his arm. As the first notes of Canon in D began, the doors opened. Walking down the aisle with Jack, I felt a curious mix of emotions. A pang of sadness for my father's absence, yes, but it was overshadowed by gratitude for the man who had stepped in with such grace. Benjamin's face, as he watched me approach, was worth every moment of planning, every family drama, every tear shed. His eyes shone with love and wonder. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that we were creating our own family, built on mutual respect and genuine care. The ceremony was everything I hoped for. We exchanged our vows, promises to support each other's dreams, to choose each other every day. Husband and wife, the officiant pronounced, and applause wrapped around us like an embrace. The cocktail hour and dinner were filled with laughter, toasts, and dancing. Benjamin's father gave a heartfelt speech. Jack's toast brought happy tears to many eyes. By 8:30, it was clear my father wouldn't even make the reception. I tried not to let it dampen my spirits as Benjamin and I shared our first dance. Later, I saw my cousin Thomas arrive, looking frazzled. "I stopped by Vanessa's event first," he said. "But Adrian, there's something you should know. That party? It wasn't what she told everyone. It wasn't a work event at all." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "It was just a regular gathering at her apartment. Maybe 15 people. No company recognition, no broker promotion." I asked her colleague Sarah, and she was completely confused. The implications were staggering. "So, she lied about the whole thing just to create a conflict with my wedding?" Thomas nodded grimly. "That's not all. I overheard her talking to your dad. She's been telling him for months that you didn't really want him at the wedding, that you only asked him to walk you down the aisle out of obligation." "What?" "That's completely false." "I know. And there's more." Thomas pulled out his phone, showing me text messages from months earlier. "Vanessa admitted to scheduling her party on my wedding day deliberately. She wanted to force your dad to choose, by telling him you'd said horrible things about him." The revelation was both shocking and strangely validating. All these years, I'd thought I was paranoid, but here was proof. "Does Dad know any of this?" I asked. Thomas shook his head. "I don't think so. I tried to tell him today, but Vanessa kept interrupting and pulled him away." I hugged Thomas, so grateful for his honesty. "Thank you for telling me." As the reception wound down, around 10:30, I saw a commotion near the entrance. My father, looking uncomfortable in a hastily put-on suit, entered. Benjamin squeezed my hand. "Do you want me to run interference?" "No," I said. "I need to handle this." He approached awkwardly, holding a small gift bag. "Congratulations," he said stiffly, leaning in for an equally stiff hug. "Sorry I'm late." Vanessa's thing ran longer than expected. The casual way he referenced missing my entire wedding ceremony made my blood boil, but I held my composure. "I'm glad you could make it for the last hour." He glanced around. "Looks like it was a nice wedding." "It was beautiful," I replied. "Perfect, actually." An uncomfortable silence fell. "So, he finally asked, who ended up walking you down the aisle?" "Jack Harris," I replied. "Benjamin's uncle." He frowned slightly. "The older gentleman in the navy tuxedo, who gave that toast?" "Yes, that's him." "You had a stranger walk you down the aisle?" His tone was incredulous. "He's not a stranger to me," I said firmly. "He's been part of Benjamin's family for years, and he's shown more interest in my life and happiness than you have in a very long time." My father's face flushed with anger. "That's not fair, Adrian. I've always supported you." "Have you?" I challenged, years of hurt finally bubbling to the surface. "You missed my art scholarship ceremony because Vanessa told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my college graduation dinner until Benjamin's parents reminded you. And now you skipped my wedding ceremony for Vanessa's fake party." "Fake party? What are you talking about?" Just then, Thomas approached. "Uncle Richard, I'm glad you made it." My father nodded curtly. "Thomas, what is Adrian saying about Vanessa's party being fake?" Thomas looked between us. "I was just telling Adrian, the party today was not a work event. Just a regular get-together at Vanessa's apartment." "That cannot be right." "Vanessa said it was for her broker promotion." I asked her colleague, Sarah. Thomas replied calmly. "There was no promotion, no company event. It was just a party Vanessa planned on the same day as Adrian's wedding." My father's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Jack approached. "Adrian, Benjamin is looking for you. I believe it's almost time for the sparkler send-off." My father stared at Jack with barely concealed hostility. "You must be the uncle who walked my daughter down the aisle." Jack extended his hand politely. "Jack Harris. You must be Richard. It's good to finally meet you." My father ignored the hand. "I don't understand why my daughter needed to have a stranger take my place." "Dad, stop it." I hissed, mortified. Jack remained composed. "I can understand your confusion. It was an honor to support Adrienne on her special day, especially knowing how important this ceremony was to her." "Important to her?" My father scoffed. "If it was so important, She could have scheduled it on a day that didn't conflict with her sister's event. My wedding was scheduled 9 months ago. I interjected. Vanessa deliberately planned her party for the same day, and Thomas has proof of it. Thomas reluctantly showed my father the texts. My father read them, his face growing paler and paler. "This cannot be right," he muttered. "Vanessa wouldn't do this." "She has been doing it for years, Dad," I said, my voice breaking. "She has been deliberately driving a wedge between us since Mom died. She lied to you about me not wanting you at my art ceremony, about me not caring if you came to my graduation dinner, and now about me not really wanting you to walk me down the aisle." My father looked truly shocked. "She told me you said having me walk you down the aisle would be embarrassing because we're not close anymore. She said you only asked out of obligation." "That is absolutely not true." I insisted. "I wanted you there. I have always wanted you in my life." The realization seemed to hit him all at once, the years of manipulation suddenly becoming clear. His expression shifted from confusion to pure, raw anger. "I need to speak with Vanessa," he said sharply, pulling out his phone. "Not now, Dad, please," I pleaded. "This is my wedding reception." But he was already dialing, stepping away. Jack placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry, Adrian. Should I get Benjamin?" I nodded gratefully, completely overwhelmed. Jack returned moments later with Benjamin, who instantly put a protective arm around me. Before I could explain, my father returned, his face flushed. Vanessa hung up on me. "I'm going to her apartment right now to get the truth." "Dad, please. Can this wait until tomorrow?" "I need to know if what you're saying is true," he insisted. "If Vanessa has been lying to me all these years, she has," Thomas confirmed quietly. "I'm sorry, Uncle Richard, but it's true." My father looked at me, then at Jack, who stood protectively beside us. Something about seeing us together seemed to trigger a fresh wave of anger in him. "So you replaced me with him?" he demanded, gesturing toward Jack. "Some random old man you barely know?" Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. Today is about Adrian and Benjamin's marriage, not about past grievances." "Don't tell me what this day is about," my father snapped. "She is my daughter." "Then perhaps you should have acted like her father," Jack replied evenly. "Being a father means showing up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most." The simple truth of Jack's words seemed to hit my father like a physical blow. He stared at Jack, then at me, his anger suddenly deflating into something that looked almost like shame. "I need to go," he said abruptly. "I need to talk to Vanessa." Without another word, he turned and strode out of the ballroom, leaving an uncomfortable silence. Benjamin pulled me close. "Are you okay?" I nodded, though tears threatened. I just wish he could have seen the truth sooner. Jack's steady presence beside us was comforting. Family revelations are never easy, Adrian, but sometimes they are necessary for healing to begin. We rejoined the remaining guests for the sparkler send-off, creating a magical tunnel of light. As Benjamin and I ran through to our waiting car, despite the confrontation with my father, I felt a curious sense of peace. The truth was finally out. And whatever happened next, I had a new family who truly valued me. We spent 2 blissful weeks honeymooning in Greece. I turned off notifications, determined to enjoy this time with my new husband. But when we returned, reality was waiting in my voicemail. 5 messages from my father, each more apologetic than the last. The final one, left just 3 days before our return, was raw. "Adrian, I don't know if you're listening, but you were right about Vanessa." I confronted her. She finally admitted the truth. "She's been manipulating both of us for years." I cannot believe I was so blind. "I understand if you never want to speak to me again, but I hope someday you'll give me a chance to make this right." "I am so sorry I missed your wedding. It was unforgivable." There were no messages from Vanessa, only a curt email saying she was taking some time away from family drama. "What are you thinking?" Benjamin finally asked as I stared at my phone. Part of me feels vindicated that Dad finally sees the truth, but another part is just sad for all the years we lost. "Do you want to call him back?" I considered it carefully. "Not yet. I need some time to figure out what I want this relationship to look like going forward, if I even want one at all." Over the next few weeks, I leaned heavily on Benjamin's family. especially Jack, who called every Sunday. "How are you doing, Adrian?" he'd ask, his voice warm with genuine concern. Our conversations ranged from books to work, to deeper discussions about family and forgiveness. "Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior," he told me once. "It is about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Whatever you decide, make sure it brings you peace." A month after our return, I finally called my father. We met at a neutral cafe. He looked older, more tired. "Adrian, thank you for coming," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I failed you so completely." "Yes, you did," I agreed, unwilling to sugarcoat. "But I want to understand. How did you not see what Vanessa was doing?" He sighed heavily. "After your mother died, I was lost. Vanessa stepped up, and I was grateful. It was easier to believe her version of events than to face my own grief and inadequacy as a single parent. She became my connection to you, filtering everything. We talked for nearly 3 hours, going through painful memories. I want to try to rebuild our relationship," he said. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but if you're willing, I'd like to get to know the amazing woman you've become." "I need to think about it," I replied honestly. "This isn't something we can fix in one conversation." He nodded, accepting my boundary. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." Over the following months, we began a careful reconciliation. Weekly phone calls became regular visits. I properly introduced him to Benjamin's family, including Jack, who displayed remarkable grace in welcoming my father despite their awkward first meeting. 3 months after our first reunion, my father suggested a family dinner at his home, including Benjamin's parents and Jack. A tentative step toward blending our families. After dinner, I found my father and Jack deep in conversation. "I want to thank you for being there for Adrian when I wasn't," my father was saying. "Walking her down the aisle should have been my privilege, but you did it with honor." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "She is a remarkable young woman. You should be very proud of who she has become, largely through her own strength and determination." "I am," my father agreed. "I just wish I had been more present to see it happening." Their conversation gave me hope that perhaps the wounds of the past could truly heal. Vanessa remained distant, avoiding any real conversation. I came to accept that some relationships might never be repaired, and that was okay. 6 months after the wedding, we hosted our first Thanksgiving as a married couple. Our table was full: Benjamin's family, my father, cousin Thomas, close friends. Vanessa was invited, but declined without explanation. As we shared what we were thankful for, my father's voice broke with emotion. "I am thankful for second chances," he said simply. "And for a daughter whose capacity for forgiveness humbles me every day." When it was Jack's turn, he smiled warmly around the table. "I am thankful for the reminder that family is created through love and choice, not just biology. And I am especially thankful to have gained another niece in Adrian, whose courage and grace inspire me." On our 1-year anniversary, Jack gave us another toast. "What began as a difficult moment," he said, "became one of the greatest gifts of my life, the opportunity to be part of Adrian and Benjamin's journey. May your marriage continue to grow in strength and joy. And may you always remember that true family consists of those who choose to love you, even when it is difficult." As I reflect now, I realize that sometimes life's greatest wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's absence on my wedding day led to Jack's presence, which in turn created a bridge for my father's return to my life. The family I have now includes both those I was born to and those I have chosen. All imperfect, all valuable in their own ways. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment and creating boundaries that protect your heart while allowing for growth and change. The father who walks you down the aisle should indeed be someone who has walked beside you through life's challenges, supporting and loving you unconditionally. Sometimes that person shares your DNA, and sometimes they come into your life through other paths. What matters most is not who stands beside you on one important day, but who shows up for all the ordinary days that follow. I am fortunate to have found my tribe, the people who choose me every day, just as I choose them.